And what up, what's good with y'all? All right, so today is a continuance on the 300ZX. I know you guys remember how I said that the front of the 300ZX wouldn't go any lower because of the way this actual kit is designed. If you look at the rear arch is nice. This is exactly where I want to sit it. If I want to go lower in the rear, I could tuck it if I wanted to. Sits perfect. But when you go to the front arch over here, the front arch is actually higher than what it would be on a stock fender. So they actually moved the arch up. So you got this, you get this wheel gap. I hate this wheel gap, it's ugly. So today we're gonna be getting rid of that wheel gap. These PPMs are all the way low, and this is as low as they go. So to get this thing to go lower, what I ended up doing was ordering some new PPM springs. These springs are about, I wanna say, 1.25 inches lower. I also changed the spring rates. These ones are 10K, the ones that are on there are 12K. These were kinda, I wanna say, more so for the VQ in there, or more so for the VG, but since I don't have the VG anymore, I decided to lower the spring rate a little bit just because the SR is so much lighter than the VG. I'm about to be getting these on, and then hopefully we get rid of this ugly ass wheel gap. Like, this gap is gonna kill me. It's hideous. Like I ain't about that super slam fitment, but like, man, that's bad. Let me back this thing up a little bit and then get to work. It's gonna be 17 and a 14. That's all you need to get the coilovers off in these cars. 17 to 14. Bam. 1 minute. Hella easy. Alright, so let's look at these jammies side by side. I don't like how these are a lot thinner, man. Look at that. Can't really see it on camera that much, but these ones are thicker. When you get to this point, you just want to snug the collar up against the spring. You don't want to add any preload or anything like that. Usually, for once I get it snug against the spring, I'll add maybe like a 1/4 turn of preload just so I know it's snug against the spring. Spring nice and snug against the collar. No crazy preload, but just enough to where it's snug against it. You don't have the spring drooping. I also want to note real quick, because I don't want people thinking that the reason the car is going to go lower is because the actual lowering spring. It's not going to be the complete difference between the two springs, how much lower the car is going to go. The reason why you're able to lower the car with these springs is because obviously these springs have a lower profile than these ones right here, as you can see. But just because you have the lower profile doesn't mean all of a sudden you're gonna get a 2-inch drop. The reason why you're able to get a lower drop is because now you know, your cup where your coilover and everything sits, you can go a lot lower. Whereas before, say if it bottomed out right here, but we still had, you know, let's say 2 inches of drop left still, but you couldn't really lower it because your lock collar was basically pushed up against the spring, and the spring needed to travel up more on the actual coilover. But the only reason you'd be able to, or the only way you'd be able to get it to travel up, is if you actually preloaded your spring a lot, and then you can get the collar to go up more, which would allow this to go in more. But since we have the lower spring now, the collar can actually go up without preloading the spring, and we can put this on there and, you know, get more room to drop it, because now it'll sit lower inside the cup. Whereas before, the cup wasn't maxed out, but where the spring was down here, it was basically touching, so you couldn't go lower without preloading it. So I mean, you could go lower, but for what I like to do, I don't really like to preload a spring. It's just not really all that practical. The car becomes hella bouncy, and it just doesn't feel good. So if you're trying to keep your handle in, but you want to lower it, then this is the correct way to do it. Now the cup is all the way maxed out, so you're just gonna put your lock collar right over there and then just lock it. But now it's obviously sitting lower. This is the gap. So this is basically the difference between the 2 springs right here. The spring isn't preloaded at all, it's just up against it snugged. And now this thing's all back together. Let's get it back on the car. Same process. And I don't want this to be like a how-to video, because this is some basic shit. I just wanted to inform y'all on how to really lower it the proper way without preloading the hell out your coilover. So let me get this back on here right now. All right, so this side all back together, and the gap is a lot smaller. So once it's on the ground, obviously it's gonna be lower for sure. So I'm just getting the other side done, and then we'll see how this thing is. Hopefully it's gonna be where I want it at, but anything's gonna help at this point, because that shit was monster trucking. All right, both sides on, all buttoned up. I'm gonna probably go take it around the block. As you can see, it is lower on this side for sure. So I'm gonna take it around the block, hopefully get the suspension to settle, and then we'll see how much lower it is. Satisfied with this. Wheel gap closing, I can work with that. So while the 350's here, update on the 350. This shit's acting hella stupid again. I have no clue what's going on. Right after the dyno got home, and the car just started running super lean, as if it's a fuel issue or something. So I don't know. I have no clue what's going on with this car. This car is like my problem child. Always something going on with this car. But eventually I'll get it figured out. But as of right now, I have no clue. I gotta get into it and see what's going on with it. So this is kind of like not my main focus, even though this is my daily. It's been an unreliable, retarded daily, and not so daily-ish. So my future plans is to get this thing tuned between the next week or two, and then I'm just gonna start driving this around. All this thing needs is a tune, and then it's ready to go. So that's what's going on. That's why y'all haven't seen any driving videos or anything of the 350, just because it's been on crack or something, meth, I don't know, but it's on some type of drug. I decided to take the 350Z belt off, disconnecting the supercharger completely. That way I can get a better idea how this thing sounds, and to see, you know, if I can hear anything. And I noticed that you can hear a fat hissing from the intake manifold. Started the car up, spray some brake cleaner, and then you can clearly hear the car change pitches. rev up when you first start it, usually indicating that it's sucking more air than it needs to be sucking in. For my own curiosity right now, I'm gonna take the plenum off. So I'm gonna take this off real quick just to check. Let's get to that right now. So as I'm getting ready to take this apart, I noticed that, fuck, y'all can't really see it, but I can see a piece of the gasket right there. So looks like the gasket probably blew out of here. But let me get this off and then we'll keep continuing and see what we got. Boom, whoop, there it is. This part of the gasket was all blown out. Guess I'll be ordering a new gasket for this tonight. Luckily for me, it's just a gasket ripped. I feel a lot better knowing it's just that. I kind of had a feeling that it was gonna be a vacuum leak somewhere. I just didn't know where because I couldn't hear it because of the supercharger. So everything was leaning more towards it being a vacuum leak, obviously, because it was going lean. If it would have been a charge pipe or something that was going off as far as boost went, then it would have been on the rich side. But since it was more so lean, and it indicated on top of that, both banks were showing that on the Y band that it was lean. So definitely wasn't something that was going on independently between each bank. It had to be something sort of on the lines of a vacuum leak. But hopefully when I get the new gasket, put the intake manifold back on, or plenum I should say, that the issue would be fixed and then I can get back to driving the car. So we'll see. But that's it for today. I'm about to wrap this up. So until next time, deuces.
I've been going too crazy, these niggas too shady. Speed limit 65, I'm about to do 80. Fucking niggas hating on, I've been on the come up. You can go to speed, but it's better if you run up. You can ride with a nigga, but I'ma give you a choice. If you really wanna holler, then I'ma give you a